Let's go. Episode 12 starts right now. Hi, I'm the AntMan. Michael Glavin, welcome back to another Wrestle Chat podcast. How are you, sir? How's your week been?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. I'm going to coin the phrase every time I come on here. It's been a great and busy week in professional wrestling. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too. It's clear that Oprah Winfrey is the new head of distribution of titles at WWE. You get a title, you get a title, you get a new title, you get a new title. So far, we've seen the WWE title and the Universal title morph into a blackstrap, gold background, undisputed title. Not bad about that. I like the way this thing looks. It makes all the sense in the world, too. Of course, it was awarded to the 1,000-plus day reign of Roman Reigns. Last Friday, we saw Asuka being awarded what they said was the WWE Women's title. However, it reads Women's Undisputed Champion at the bottom of the front plate. Looks like Roman's undisputed title, yet achieved without any of the same accomplishments. And on white as well. Which one do you like better so far? Do you like the gold and white or gold and black?
It's tough. Change is always hard. When the black and gold, I was like, oh, I'm a little uneasy about it. I don't not like it, but I'm not completely sold on it. Obviously, it's grown on me in time, since that's happened. But with that said, white on gold is money, baby. Like it's good. It's good. It's really good.
The titles have up here behind me. It's traditional. It's black. It's the gold plates on the black straps. That's kind of the tradition. But man, I think I might be a bigger fan of these women's titles than the men's. Monday we saw Raw kick off with Rhea Ripley, the previous SmackDown Women's Champ, be awarded the newly designed, and yes, on a white strap as well, Women's World Championship. It looks like Seth's world title, just maybe a tad. I need to go look at the dimensions, maybe just a tad smaller. And by the way, replicas of all these titles conveniently available for pre-order and free shipping over at shop.wwe.com. So here we are. Both the top men have new titles. Both the top women have new titles. For you, what's the next title that you're checking off the revamp list?
Well, I would have to believe, but I don't know, man, because the current U.S. title isn't really that old.
No, not at all.
The Intercontinental title's not that old, but I would say the Intercontinental title now is the most boring of all of them. We went through, and that's not saying that I don't like it. I think it looks good, but the thing that's making all of the other titles look a lot sharper right now is they have some dimension to them, but with the Intercontinental title, with it just being gold straight on black, even if you think back to some of the other WWE titles, even the big eagle that you have behind you, it has like the blue in it and stuff like that to kind of give it some pop. So I would think maybe the Intercontinental title, but they're all fairly new, so I don't know what to expect out of that, to be honest with you.
We gotta unify these tag straps though, right?
I would think, and they already started on it in the women's.
Yeah. Unifying the NXT and women's tag.
Yep. And so I don't know if they're going to do something else there, but you are definitely right. We do need to do something with the tag titles. I've not personally been a fan of these particular tag titles. I was a huge fan of the Raw and SmackDown tag titles back in the day, especially the Raw ones. They were sharp, dude. Mm-hmm. And
had an old school feel to them.
Yeah, and so when the new tag titles came out, that it looked like they just smashed some pennies and threw it on some leather.
Railroad track. Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
You put pennies on a railroad track?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
And so, they got a little bit better when they went to Raw and SmackDown because they at least had a little bit of spunk to them. But I'm hoping to see some really nice looking tag titles again. And I'm confident that it'll happen, especially with the renewed push to push tag teams recently.
Maybe for the tags, they can lay some quarters or some silver dollars down on the railroad tracks.
There you go.
A little more expensive.
Although John F. Kennedy action on there.
Absolutely, why not? They are hurting the pocketbook though, releasing all of these replicas all at one time. I mean, we've got to space this out a little bit, guys. Let's
for $500-$600 a pop. My goodness.
Well, at least the shipping's free, so we're good there.
Better be.
Let's jump into Monday Night Raw. Boy, all the way around, this was one of the most awkward starts to any show that I've seen in recent history. I don't know if if Vince is calling in last-minute changes or someone started the dance on the wrong foot, but Becky had a hard time talking. Zoe had a hard time talking. Kevin Patrick, the announcer, had a hard time talking. It felt sometimes like the characters were missing from a play where someone had to pick up their lines and try to kind of help make sense of the story. It's what it felt like when these ladies were talking. Do you have any guesses on the cause of these missteps at the start of Raw this week?
I'll defend everybody to say that, there is no other industry in entertainment like WWE. They are putting on since we're just talking about Raw, they're doing 3 hours of content just on Raw and 2 on SmackDown every single week. And honestly, you're just going to have some off nights.
Yeah.
With all the people that were involved, to your point, maybe there was some last minute rewrites. Maybe they were flying by the seat of their pants. It felt a little awkward comparatively speaking, but it's way better than it was 6 months ago. I can tell you that right now.
Well, also remember, this thing's live.
Yep.
There's no retakes in any of this either.
Yeah. The only thing that I thought was that actually kind of made me chuckle. The whole night felt a little awkward, but nothing that wasn't passable in my book. But the funny moment where I kind of laughed out loud was when Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville came out and Zoe Stark was kind of talking smack. Yeah. She did like a little lunge at him, but the problem was she was like 15 feet away. And I was like, I don't think that's going to be scary from 15 feet away. So. And so, but again, it's live television. It was a little bit of an awkward night getting everything rolling, but ultimately the storylines are still falling in place.
Yeah.
It was written well, but delivery was just a little off that.
Zoe's green too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
She's the first few shows. Actually, it's the first show that she's been on where she was by herself too. If you think about that.
First time with a mic that I'm aware of too.
Yeah, I think you're right. After Monday was done, we had a few matches confirmed and filled out for the Money in the Bank coming up on July 1st. The men's ladder match. We're going to see LA Knight, Ricochet, Shinsuke, Damian Priest, Butch, and Santos Escobar all battling for the coveted briefcase, holding a contract that's good for now any title, anytime, anywhere. I'm not sure that I love the fact that it's something you can cash in on any title now. That's not the big deal on that big of a deal on the women's side. But with the men's, it seems a little anticlimactic to cash the briefcase in on Austin Theory for the U.S. title. What do you think about this new option, or at least something that they're maybe it was always there? It's just something that they're highlighting now. That's something that Austin Theory did do, was cash it in on the U.S. title.
I think I don't know that it's always been there, because if you go back and listen to promos, I remember Lillian Garcia back in the day for a world title shot, blah 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 blah.
Always.
I think the situation that we're in, do I like it standalone? No. I think the world title needs to be in jeopardy for it to really be awesome. However, I do think it's the right business move at this time. Here's why. We are in this almost pre-Attitude Era season right now where we are making new superstars, and not just a WWE superstar. I'm talking about real life superstars, the next Rock,
sure,
the next Steve Austin, the next Undertaker. We're making those people right now, but business still has to happen while we're making those people. And so we have this match that all the performers in it are amazing. This is a great match that's going to happen. Are they big names right now? They're known names.
Inside the business.
Inside the business. But otherwise, they're not there. So I think what they're doing is smart in that they're going to use this to elevate some people and get them to main event status while obviously doing business in the meantime. We got spoiled when Money in the Bank was first around, because you had, in the same match, you had Kane, you had Edge, you had CM Punk, you had Jeff Hardy, you had Randy Orton.
All huge names.
Huge names. And we took it for granted at the time just because it felt normal with, everybody that was in them. But we're raising up a new crop of people. So do I like it in the end? No, not my favorite thing, but I think it's the right business decision.
Well,
right
the ladies that are climbing the ladder are Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Zelina, and Io Sky. My early prediction on this here is that Becky's going to battle the other ladies, but have an especially hard time with Zoe. But Becky ultimately, I think, will come out on top and end up going face-to-face against Rhea at some point. Whenever she finds herself in jeopardy, we'll see Becky or hear Becky's music pop, and the whole place will go crazy, and she'll come out because they'll build some story. At least that's my prediction here early on. Do you have an early prediction on the women's side of who comes out on top of this ladder come on July 1st?
On the women's side, it's hard for me to tell right now.
Yeah. I say it because I think she's the biggest name. Arguably, she's the biggest name in this match.
Yeah, I would think it would have to go with someone still a little bit more seasoned, Becky, Bayley, something to that effect. I think, and again, the problem is that we're building new stars. And so Io's great, Zoe's great, Zelina's great, but it's not going to have that when one of them takes it.
Sure.
And so I think this match will be fairly predictable when we get into it. When we see somebody roll out of the ring and disappear for, 8 minutes of the match, I think it'll be pretty telling.
Well, they've done a great job on recall when it comes to a matchup between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, because it was 7 years ago that these two battled for the very first Universal title. Finn won that battle only to have to relinquish the strap the next night. This rematch of sorts has been looked forward to by many for quite some time. I think that this match could be a show stealer, and I don't know that you can call it a show stealer when it's the world champion battling in this, but I think these two, regardless of what's on the line, whether it's a title or it's not a title, if it's just pride, if it's something else, these two can steal any match of any show at any time.
Absolutely. It's going to be a banger of a match. And I think there was a little bit, constructive criticism while remaining positive. I think the build up to it left a little bit to be desired. All of a sudden, we've got grumpy Finn Balor. I think that in wrestling nowadays, it feels like there always has to be a reason for something like this to happen. But I think it could have very well been Finn came out, not grumpy, just came to the ring and said, "Look, 7 years ago, here's what happened. Yep. We've never addressed it. Yep. We've never gone back. Seth Rollins, I'm calling you out."
Yep.
And then,
you got something I want.
Yeah, exactly. And then, no offense to any of the fans that were in attendance, but you guys are kind of douchebags. Like, they were ruining that segment.
They really were.
And the guys were being super patient, and Seth did a great job of navigating that. But man, you gotta know when to stop. And I think the fans kind of overstayed their welcome in that segment. But to flip to the other side, gimmicks can backfire on you. And I believe that this Seth Rollins gimmick is backfiring on him a little bit, in the sense of, he's wacky, he's zany, but I can't take him as seriously as a champion. Boy, when he gets in a match and the gimmick kind of disappears, boy, I love that guy.
He's better than a champion. Yeah.
Yeah, he's better than a champion. So there's just some nuance to this, and I do think it'll be a passing match. I don't even know that either one of them will win clean this go around. I could see, interference by the Judgment Day causing a DQ, champion retains, the whole deal. I do think SummerSlam, my prediction early on, before we're even getting to any booking, is I think the title will change hands at SummerSlam.
Oh, really? Okay.
I do.
We'll mark this day down.
Yep. There's a lot going on in the background. If you pay attention to the business, that says that they wanted to put it on Seth to have a good, strong, established champion. And then I can see the world title going to more of an up-and-comer. Please, God, let it be LA Knight.
And that would be something. That would be something. I'd like to see that. Back to the interrupting this match real quick. This is a prime example of be careful what you wish for. How long have we wanted crowds to stop saying what over and over and over again? Instead, now we have them singing songs. Yep. So I almost would rather have what? Those tended to die down much quicker than the
yeah.
I'll be
and
okay
the
if I
what's
never heard that
never
song again.
the what's never stopped a segment, and that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's ever been in an arena, if you've got even half of them singing, it is deafening. And
big
so,
time.
props to those guys for hanging in there.
July 1st, London's O2 Arena. Cody is going to battle Dominik. A quick turnaround for a story feud here, but not terrible for what I perceive as potentially just a one-off. I do like the fact that they are both legacy superstars, not referring to the faction, but to the heritage. If they did decide to go more than one match, that might be a cool angle to play off of. That, you know, they haven't talked a lot about. I mean, they've touched on it, but I know Dusty's been brought up many times in Cody's story, but that might be one that you actually utilize it on. Is that, you know, my dad, you know, we're both kids of big stars, things like that, and so we'll see what happens here. But there's a lot of rumors and discussions going on about Cody and Brock and what Part 3 is going to look like. The prediction right now is that it's going down at SummerSlam, but with a stipulation, a gimmick, if you will, possibly a bull rope match. Similar to a strap match, if you've ever seen a strap match. However, the difference maker is included, one that would give almost certainty to blood in this match, and that's the metal cowbell, strategically placed evenly between the two ends of the ropes. If you see Brock Lesnar on one end of that, you see Cody Rhodes on the other end of that, the story of a bull rope match and the Rhodes family goes way back. And man, this could be a very bloody but a very interesting battle at SummerSlam if indeed it does happen.
Yeah, so following up on both those things, Cody Dominik is going to be a great match. And for the things that I've poked at on this episode, I want to highlight that this is how you do it. No gimmicks, no crazy grumpy people. It was Dominik being a greasy heel and Cody just being Cody and getting under each other's skin. And you know what? We just need to duke it out in a ring, so let's do it. I am very much looking forward to that match. Two guys that are highly talented inside of the ring. It's going to be... I think that a lot of people are not thinking about that match too much, but for me, it's the sleeper on the whole card. I think that very well has the possibility to steal the show.
It could be one of those that they do the match and it just, you know, he moves on and does the thing with Brock, but then you see that things that happen in that match are brought back up for a feud later down the line. And
or maybe Brock costs Cody the match.
Yeah. In fact, it would be the first time in over a year that Brock is not on a premium live event if he ends up not being at Money in the Bank. So I think that's where you see that next match get set up as something does happen with Brock inside this one. Speaking of SummerSlam, we've got your hookup on SummerSlam tickets. 2 tickets on the lower level. Detroit's Ford Field coming up on August 5th, and there's only a couple of weeks left for you to get registered. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, you see the link there at the bottom of your screen. It's WrestleChatPodcast.com/summer. Only 2 more weeks for you to get signed up before we draw a winner, because we want to give you plenty of time to make all your arrangements and schedule all your plans. There in Detroit, August 5th. Be with Wrestle Chat Podcast at SummerSlam this year. WrestleChatPodcast.com/summer. Check that out and get signed up right now. AEW Dynamite. Boy, this show kicked off hot this week. If there's one thing that has become a signature for this brand, it is hot starts to their shows. Now, the last 3 weeks, somewhat of an exception. I'm a huge Orange Cassidy fan, but 3 weeks in a row of Orange Cassidy kicking off the show might be a little much. But this week, a championship eliminator match. Adam Cole versus AEW champ MJF. If Cole wins the match, he gets a shot at the title. I would have been fine if this match had gone an hour Broadway. Take up the whole first hour of Dynamite with Cole versus MJF, no winner. Instead, we got half that. We got a half Broadway, 30-minute time limit draw. Brilliant finish in this whole thing. Great booking. One detail, though, I think that would have made this a little bit better. And that is if Justin would have popped on and give 10 minutes remaining in this match, 5 minutes remaining in this match, and you forget about it at maybe 3.5, 4 minutes, and then you hear the bell ring. I'm anxious to see what the ratings look like for Dynamite in their quarter hour and their minute by minute this coming week, because with only a week's worth of promotion, this was a fantastic main event, much less a show kickoff. And man, what a way to kick off Dynamite this week.
Tell you what, those guys are 2 of the best in the business right now. And in that match, as I've said before, I'm kind of graduating into AEW. I'm learning more. I'm watching more, and I was highly impressed with that match. Not only that it made the show just feel like it took off on a rocket, but MJF is just, if he's ever not a heel, he might as well just retire, because he is the best heel
It's made to be a heel,
that I've
right?
ever seen. And Adam Cole, he reminds me, and people may want to lynch me for this, but Adam Cole for me is like akin to Dolph Ziggler a little bit, in the sense of very few people could sell a match like Dolph Ziggler could. Dolph had a few runs with the World Championship, but Dolph put everything he could in a match. And I love watching Adam Cole, because when Adam Cole is in a match, you feel it. And so it was just a great bout between the two guys. I love watching them. And then the finish, I wasn't paying attention. I knew about the 30-minute rule, and right at that pin to hear, ding, 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 I thought it was like the Washington, D.C. screw job is what I thought it was. But then when I realized, time ran out, I was like, that's cool. Yeah. And in fact, I texted you and was like, very cool. Yeah. And so really, really, really well done.
I think so too. Take a look at this picture. Chris Jericho clearly raided Seth Rollins' closet. The Wizard decked out in all black with the exception of his pink sparkly shoes. There to see where Sammy Guevara's loyalty lies. Here's my tweet as well. See, we're talking about his shoe there. I don't hate a build-up of a match between these two, between Sammy and between Jericho. Imagine what it would be like for Sammy to face his hero at Wembley. What if that got to happen? Before you comment on that, dude, Michael, what did you think of the Ocho's outfit?
It's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to say the least. He is, a rock and roll god. Mm-hmm. Yep. So he
in heels now. In heels.
Yeah, and I'm not going to speak ill of Chris Jericho. I'm just going to gently say maybe he had a lapse in judgment.
Maybe so.
But I hold a very unpopular opinion that I think Chris Jericho could be GOAT or potentially Mount Rushmore. And I would dare not speak against him, but it was rough.
Faux pas, right?
It was rough.
Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp stole my tweet too. Look at this. He made it his own and got much more response than mine did. Guys, I need your help. Let's not let something like this happen again. Go follow me on Twitter and tweet along at the AntMan. This is ridiculous. I saw his tweet come out after mine. Like that, you said the exact same thing. You just put a different person's name in there. Come on, Sean Ross Sapp. Tonight, be sure to check out AEW's Collision, sure to be a bookmark in the history of pro wrestling, as Collision premieres on TNT tonight. CM Punk in the main event, teaming with FTR. In the promo that played during Dynamite, Punk said, well, he's not sure what he's going to say until he has a mic in his hand. He's set up to succeed in his hometown return. There, Punk's hometown is in Chicago. My wonder, though, is what week 2 of Collision is going to sound like. Any guesses?
I don't know. We talked about this last week a little bit. I won't rehash my thoughts on the CM Punk situation. I think here's what I know. It's going to be very clear, in the sense of it's going to be polarizing. And so he's either going to get booed out of the place, or it's going to be just as good of a reception as normal. Believe me, despite all the chaos out of it, I hope he's well received, because CM Punk in wrestling at the end of the day is still better than CM Punk not in wrestling. And so I really hope that whatever reconciliation did happen is going to stick. We can see a great run from CM Punk, and he can, however long he's got left, he finishes strong in the way he should and ride off into the sunset. But you are correct that second episode of Collision is going to show us a lot.
Well, ESPN showed us a lot, and that was a side from Punk that no one has seen since he left, that being his side of the story of how Brawl Out went down. It's a great read. I'll link it up in the description of this episode. I personally think the biggest challenge for AEW's new show is yet to come, and that's college football. Although typically a regional interest in whatever Saturday night games are played, that's something you can't DVR and watch later. So hopefully AEW is going to get on a roll before September gets here, and they can keep that momentum as they go. Long before September arrives, the Manchild Chronicles drops on YouTube. The countdown is officially on, though. How many more days do we have, Michael?
I don't know the day numbers, but we are launching on July the 7th. We are hard at work writing content and producing a lot of video stuff for this episode. Guys, I would encourage you to join us. Our goal for the Manchild Chronicles is to essentially make it like a variety show available on the internet. This is going to be visually captivating. It's going to be fun with games and really great content from the entertainment sector. Really encourage you guys to join us. We even might punch you in the feels here and there with some family stories or some fatherhood tidbits. So you never know what you're going to get. Manchild Chronicles. We just dropped an episode yesterday. It is our Ted Lasso episode. So if you were a Ted Lasso fan, we've given you some time to make sure that you're all the way through the end. We spend the first probably 45 minutes of the episode talking about Ted Lasso, all 3 seasons in its entirety. And then at the end, we throw in some Hot Potato, which is one of our favorite games.
Sure.
And then to finish it all off for those of maybe slightly advanced age out there, we did the best SNL cast members of all time draft.
That's cool.
Join us. It dropped yesterday. It's available wherever you watch Russell Chat Podcast.
Okay, I haven't watched any of Ted Lasso. Did you just quit the podcast? I should have saved that for later. We made it almost to the end, too.
Almost to the end. If the only thing I'll say is this.
Okay.
If Ted Lasso had a couple more seasons, it would be better than The Office. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yep.
I'm a huge Office fan. All right, so I should go start it then, is what you're saying.
It's a bold statement, Cotton. We'll see if it plays off.
If you're watching this right now on YouTube, if you'll scroll down in our page, you'll see the other channels, and right there you'll see the Manchild Chronicles. Go ahead and click on that and hit subscribe so you don't miss the first episode or any other episodes after that. It's right there on our page on the Wrestle Chat podcast. A great kickoff to SmackDown last night, a tag team gauntlet match, which saw in, it's their words, not mine, 2 tasty snacks. Pretty deadly. Winning and getting a shot at the undisputed tag titles, taking on Sami and Kevin at Money in the Bank. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised to not see your boys Imperium in the gauntlet match. Mm-hmm. Is there any part of you that sees Zayn and Owens having a misstep and dropping the straps to Prince and Wilson coming up on July 1st?
I actually do. I'm personally not super vested in Pretty Deadly yet, but it is undeniable that they are functioning great as a team. Their gimmicks are really good. I loved the commentary from Wade Barrett. But talking about the androgynousness of Pretty Deadly, but we know that Kevin and Sami have to move on from the tag titles at some point in time, and nothing would make me happier than to see the straps go to some younger guys that have a lot of mileage left in them and can really bring some new, fresh air to the tag team division.
I'll be honest, I would rather see that than to see Kevin or Sami turn on each other.
Yes.
That they just end up, something happens, they lose them, and they kind of just drift on. They stay friends, and they drift on to their own programs. I would like that a lot more. I would still like to see maybe a few more months, so maybe this match happens, and it just builds a feud, and maybe it happens later on. Maybe it happens at SummerSlam. I don't know, but
we'll see.
We'll see. July 1st is when those two will meet face-to-face for the first time on this SmackDown. We're going to give the rest of this time to this one in particular storyline as it deserves. I noticed that when Roman started his walk to the ring, there was 20 minutes left in the show. By the time Jay made it out and said his first sentence, there was 9.5 minutes left. And now, I'll be fair, there was a 3-minute commercial break in there too. Mm-hmm. But whether there was a commercial break or not, it was still going to be just as long
Yep.
for Roman.
Puts the Undertaker to shame. I'll tell you that right now.
I think he's trying to break. He broke breaking records, holding the title. Now he's trying to break the record for longest entrance to the ring. We need some druids or something. Something that's maybe not druids. Something that's more tribal. Something. But without question, it was the best 9 minutes in pro wrestling so far this week. I wondered if the Wise Man would still be carrying the WWE and Universal titles to the ring, and of course he did. I think he's permanently attached to those now. Paul's in love, but Jimmy and Jay, they are not when it comes to the Bloodline. The population of the Island of Relevancy is now 2 more members down, and they signed their exit papers with some twin magic on Roman Reigns' chin, not once, but twice. And just like that, the Usos made it clear, Roman Reigns is no longer their tribal chief. But here's my question. What's the match at Money in the Bank? What are you thinking?
That I'm not sure. Here's what I can tell you. Commentary books this as the end of the Bloodline, and while that is technically true, but what is also true is this story is far, far, far from over.
Absolutely.
And I think it is going to be really cool to see this transition. There's lots of different ways we can handle it. You could do a couple bouts of some singles competitions between a combination. It looks like we could see some tag team action come in the form of Solo Sikoa.
I like that.
As far as Money in the Bank, I'll be honest, I'm not sure quite yet. I haven't wrapped my head around it quite yet to see, what are the possibilities here? But what I do know, as you so eloquently said, it is the best few minutes in professional wrestling, and it is the best few minutes of my week. So yeah, I think we've got a lot of mileage left in this storyline. Yeah. We're going to see.
And I will say that best 9 minutes in pro wrestling so far, because CM Punk does have a live mic tonight. We'll see what happens there. Hey, don't forget, there are only 2 weeks left to get signed up before we give out 2 tickets to SummerSlam, lower level, Ford Field. The show is happening on August 5th. Make sure you go sign up before July 1st at WrestleChatPodcast.com so you can be in the drawing for these tickets. It's going to be a fun time in Detroit, no matter what part of the Bloodline is facing other previous members. I mean, you're right. The story is not over yet, and in fact, sometimes it feels like we're just getting started in this story, even though it feels like this group is slowly dwindling. That doesn't mean that it can't add more members. I mean, Rock's daughter's down in NXT. What if she just gets called up? That'd be kind of cool to see.
I truly believe that we are actually going to get Dwayne this next year at 40. I really do. I think all of this is leading up to that. The non-wrestling world points to that as well. In all of the headlines, XFL did not have a great opening year. Some of Rock's other projects have not fared super well.
Show's done, yeah.
And so
Young Rock,
and we're seeing him step back into a little bit of his groove. Something he said he was never going to do, which was step back into the Fast universe. And I believe the writing is on the wall that Dwayne is going to take a little bit of time to do what he knows he's good at. And what we know he's good at is being the electrifying one, the people's champion, The Rock. And so I fully expect, I'm going to call it now before the summer even hits, I think Dwayne is going to put down Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 to dethrone the tribal chief.
That could be so good, and I'm more excited about the story leading up to that, even before that happening. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us again this week. Michael, great to see you as well. Thank you for being on every week as always. And make sure you go sign up for the Manchild Chronicles podcast on YouTube, because they launch coming up on July 7th, and you won't want to miss that very first episode. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here on the Wrestle Chat podcast.